Hello, everybody. Pardon my munching. Let's see, how do I... Okay, we're gonna have to... There. No, you can see my ceiling. Okay, there we go. I am having my dinner. Welcome, everybody. I just got home. I have been doing readings all day long, and now it's your turn. Let's see. Let me get this over here. So if you see me, you might see me taking a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Spoonful of cereal, because that's my initial dinner. And then I'll get something after this. That would be better. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to a new installment of the Monday mini medicine card readings. If you've not been here before, I am Patrick, and I will be your friendly neighborhood shaman. And if you're wondering why I'm looking off camera, it's I got fire. So I'm just like literally got home minutes ago. On Mondays, I work at Crescent Moon Gifts in Tacoma doing readings down there. And I was doing it every other week, but now that the regulations have eased up a bit, I'm down there almost every Monday. But I was working until 5, and now I'm working till 6:30, so it's a little bit, hey Amina, it's a little bit of a scramble to get home in time to do the video, so we'll see how that plays out in the future. But that's why I'm a little out of breath, why I'm a little bit rushed, and I was hoping to stop, swing in someplace and grab something to eat, but that didn't pan out either. So I got, as is want to do, I got a couple of clients right at the very end of my shift, so I didn't get to leave when I had planned on it. So, but that's okay. I'm always where I am supposed to be, in the right place, the right time. Oh, let's see. What am I doing? Okay. Ground, Patrick. All right. So we're going to smudge the cards. You want more smoke. So again, welcome. Thank you for joining me. If you haven't been here before, what we are doing are kind of miniature readings. I work with a medicine card deck where each card has a different animal on it. So I work with the totem animals. And so what we're going to do is I am going to pull 3 cards, and you get to choose a number between 1 and 3, or a couple numbers, or all 3 numbers, whatever your little heart desires. And then I will go through them one at a time and let you know what your personal guidance is for the week. So, get them shuffled up here good. Did quite a few readings today already, so I'm a little tired. Oh. Lights! Woohoo! Alright, so pick a number between 1 and 3. Oh, we got some big hitters this week. Pardon me while I take a... Okay, so pardon me as I munch, I didn't think that through all the way. So I have 3 cards. I'm so sorry. I didn't take into account the crunchiness of the cereal before I took a couple of bites and had to crunch it to get it down. So it took more time. So anyway, 3 cards. First card. If number 1 is the card you chose, you got Jaguar. Jaguar is about integrity. Jaguar is exactly who she is. There's no pretenses, there's no facade, there's no mind games. When you meet Jaguar, you know exactly who you are meeting, right? She walks her talk. She's totally authentic. I never thought of it before this way, but she kind of, integrity, it's like there's that harmony between the masculine, the feminine, the left brain and the right brain, right? Because you are the entire being made up of different parts, and integrity means that all those parts are working together. If any of those parts break down, then the whole system breaks down, right? So Jaguar is about being your whole self, your authentic self. And the thing is, if you're coming from a system like a patriarchal system where ego is important, for getting ahead is important, winning is important, a lot of people might, oh cool, Jaguar, yeah, I'm gonna get everything I want because I'm a go-getter, I'm a huntress, but the thing is, Jaguar is basically the queen of the jungle. She's the queen of her environment. But that does not mean that other beings sacrifice their well-being in order for her to have her well-being. Her well-being bleeds into the entire circle of life. It's not a hierarchy. It's not a pyramid with her on the top and all the lowly little animals on the bottom. It's a circle. And so she might be at the top of the circle, but is there really a top of a circle, right? And so her well-being integrates the well-being of all the other life around her. When she does well, life does well. When one of us does well, we all do well. So it's not an ego trip. It's not an arrogant thing about, I deserve everything I want, even if it makes other people poor or hurts other people. It's like, it's more of, what are the words I'm looking for? Just like the food chain, the circle of life. You've got apex predators, and you've got microorganisms, and they basically feed on each other. They support each other, and there is no animal or being in the natural world that is higher than another one. There is no being in the natural world that is more important than any other one. It's a system. In order for the integrity of the system to work, every part needs to be whole and healthy. And so if she's doing well, it means the rest of her environment is doing well. It means all the beings in her domain are doing well, because she's being the apex predator. She doesn't have predators herself, but thank you. It's like the huntress, Artemis, the goddess of the hunt, the goddess of archery. She was the one who decided between life and death. Her arrow could slay someone, slay a beast, or whatever, and she was also the goddess of midwives. She helped bring things into the world. So she was on both ends, death and birth. And so, and it's not a dominant, like in the Bible they talk about, you will have dominance over all creatures. There is no dominance. Her place is not to decide who is worthy and who's not worthy. She's there to hand out justice, to hand out well-being. Like if for instance, I mentioned this last week, I think, there's a lot that had been written about the introduction of wolves to Yellowstone Park, and nobody predicted what happened. Because before the wolves were introduced, the entire ecosystem was hurting. The vegetation was being overeaten. The herds were overgrowing. They were out of balance with the environment. They were overeating, so the trees were bare, so there was a lot of sickness, because then all the animals couldn't get fed. And they had no boundaries. They would go wherever they wanted because there was no predation. And so the rivers, between the animals tramping down to the river any place they wanted to, because they didn't have to worry about predators, the shores, the banks of the rivers got trampled down, and there also wasn't the vegetation, the roots of the trees, to maintain the integrity of the rivers, right? So you introduce the wolves, the bringers of order, the bringers of, that same death and birth. Like, it was the introduction of the wolves where they hunted the sick of the herds, so it cut down on the number of the animals that were actually eating the vegetation. The vegetation grew back then, and there was more root systems to hold the banks of the rivers. The animals were coming down to the rivers in just certain places where they were the safest, because if they were too vulnerable, they didn't know if the wolves would come and get them. And so it was the introduction of the predator, introduction of boundaries, the introduction of death that healed the entire ecosystem. And the wolves didn't say, oh, wow, there's like all these deer and elk and bison to take down, and we're going to get fat. We're going to get, it's not an ego thing. They're not trying to become better than anyone else or have to, just enjoy themselves on the lap of luxury. They do what they do. They take out the sick and the weak and leave the stronger ones to survive and to thrive, because the weaker ones then aren't taking the vegetation becomes healthier. So one's well-being adds to the well-being of the entire thing. So what I'm trying to get at is your integrity is important. Who you are valuable. You deserve well-being. You deserve happiness. You deserve love. You are worthy of these things. And the better you take care of yourself, and really, like I mentioned, boundaries, it's the claws and the teeth of Jaguar that allow her to maintain that soft, cuddly cat part of her. It's a both and. It's the hard and the soft that work together to maintain that balance of masculine and feminine. So don't be afraid to roar. Don't be afraid to set boundaries. In the animal kingdom, most of the time, the claws and the teeth and the hissing, it's communication, and its purpose is to avoid conflict. It's to communicate that you're too close, back off. And if you don't back off, you get the teeth and the claws. But the initial demonstration of that is a communication to avoid violence, to avoid fight and conflict. So don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. You are an apex predator in your life. You don't need to ask permission. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to justify yourself to anyone. You are, like I just said, there are no beings in the natural world that are better than or more important than any other beings. You are just as important as anyone else in the world. There is no one better than you, there is no one lesser than you, and there is no one more powerful than you, and there's also no one less powerful than you. So it's kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Ironic in a way, because it's by honing your skills of boundaries, honing your integrity, not giving up yourself for the benefit of others, that allows you to, come from a stronger place of presence, a stronger place of heart, of courage, which then you are able to actually to help others, to support others from that place of strength. You don't help if what you're doing is draining you, if you find yourself drained afterwards, you're not truly helping the other people, because it necessarily needs to be a win-win situation. If somebody is not winning, then it is off balance, it's not healthy, it's toxic, because we're all in that same circle. And as one of us does better, the entire circle does better. So take care of yourself. For the sake of the world, take care of yourself. Because by taking care of yourself, you automatically take care of everybody else. Anything else, Jaguar? And another thing about Jaguar, as with all cats, they have their whiskers, right? But basically every hair on a cat's body is a whisker. That is how in tune with her environment she is. She feels her way through her world. And that is, again, where those boundaries are so important. As an empath, when you start to feel emotions and feelings and other things coming in at you, it's easy to get kind of swept away by them. It's easy to take on other people's stuff thinking that it's yours. And so integrity is really about knowing those boundaries, saying no, knowing where you end and the next person starts. Because Jaguar goes through the jungle, feels the leaves on her skin, and she doesn't mistake those leaves for part of her body. She feels it, and it's in my head, it's like they move with such grace and sensuality. You know, they're that sensuous. They have that much sensation with every hair being a whisker, that they basically, when they are moving through the world, they're basically making love to their environment. They are that in connection because they know where they stop and the environment begins. Does that make sense? So don't be, what am I trying to say? Know that your superpower is your empathy. That it's not a mistake, it's not a burden, it's not a curse. Because if you're empathic, that is part of your path, and you are meant to, how do I put this? It's part of your purpose. And so knowing that there is a way to utilize that ability, to utilize that talent as a way to move through the world, you know, that sensitivity to help compassion with others, to know what needs to happen to keep that environment alive and vital. The universe didn't just curse you with these abilities. The universe also gave you the capability to learn how to use that to yours and everyone else's advantage, to use it as your superpower, not as a curse. So if you find yourself in that place, I was like, what do I tell them to do to like actually utilize that, to actually use that in a practical way? If that is where you find yourself, if you are an empath, that you're constantly being swayed back and forth, you feel out of control, call on Jaguar Spirit. Call on Jaguar. Say, teach me how to know my limits. Teach me how to defend my boundaries. Teach me how to tell where I end and others start. Ask for help. You know, when I do these readings, these aren't just symbolic. These aren't just, oh, pretty pictures and, oh, that's what that means. Okay, that's quaint. These are living, sentient beings, spirits that are here to help you. All it takes is to ask. All it takes is to reach out. So when you open to say, I know there's a way to learn this. I know there's a way to master my abilities, to use them for good rather than as self-destruction. So teach me. Open your heart to Jaguar. Say, please give me the courage to see this through. I know I wouldn't have this if there weren't a way to use it for the betterment of the human race. And then just pay attention. Find yourself walking in grace through the world, getting exactly what you need and want. You see what you need and you go after it. You're the huntress. And the fact you don't need to explain yourself. That takes care of a lot when it comes to integrity, because If you're having to explain yourself, if everything you do must be justified to somebody else, then you are not the master of your own ship, right? You're not the queen of your own jungle. You're answering to somebody else. So part of that integrity is taking, your heart is your only authority, because your heart is connected to Creator. Everybody's heart is connected to Creator. So if you're moving from your heart, you're moving in harmony with Source. And everybody else moving from their heart are moving from that same source energy, from that same harmony. And so you, with everyone else that is working from their heart, are going to automatically be in harmony. Like an orchestra taking its direction from a single conductor. You're not going to be playing the same notes, but you're paying attention to the same conductor, which means your notes are going to harmonize with the notes that this other person's playing with a whole different instrument. They're going to mesh, they're going to complement and support each other. So take care of yourself, listen to your heart. Your heart is your only authority. No one is up in the sky with a chalkboard ticking off all the good things you did and ticking off all the bad things you did, and oh, why the heck did they do that? Oh my God, they're gonna have to pay for that for like a dozen lives or whatever. There's nobody keeping score. Creator loves you unconditionally. There is no conditions to the love that is the universe. Love is the only power in the universe. And it is unconditional. You don't have to do anything to earn that love. You don't have to do anything to deserve or be worthy of that love. You are that love. That love is your authority to do what calls you. Because when you move in harmony, like I said, Jaguar needs a healthy population of prey animals. So she's not going to overhunt her territory and then starve. She's going to be in balance with the prey animals, and they're going to be in balance with her, so they can support each other. So take care of yourself and know that by doing so, it is not selfish, it is not arrogant, it is not ego-driven. It is actually the best thing you can do for all of the world. Okay? I feel weird about, I'm feeling like I'm not quite, I'm kind of burned out a little bit today after all the readings I did. So I apologize if those aren't ringing true or anything. But number 2, if 2 is your card, you got Eagle. Eagle is basically Great Spirit. Eagle is the one that flies above all the other birds. Well, most of the other birds, at least the ones that can't fly 30,000 feet. But anyway, so Eagle's the one that soars, and everybody looks up to Eagle. Eagle is like untouchable, the one that everybody aspires to be. And if this is your card, that is who you are. You don't realize the influence and the effect you have on others. Others look up to you. You might feel like your life, that's funny. No matter how long I've been doing these cards, I'm always learning new things. They're always telling me new little things. So we watch Eagle and we just see this majestic bird with arms, wings outstretched, just riding the thermals gracefully. To the Eagle, though, there's probably a lot of like little adjustments. It maybe doesn't feel quite so smooth as it appears from the ground. So you might feel like your life isn't smooth, like you've got all these bumps, all this turbulence in your life. You're constantly having to adjust and change your flight, change how your position is in order to stay soaring. But from the ground, you are somebody else's inspiration. Someone else looks at you and they don't see all those little adjustments you need to make. And not that there's anything wrong with that either. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that to you it might feel like you're kind of like constantly having to, duck and weave and find the thermals. And so maybe not the totally most smooth ride. But to others, all they see is the smoothness, and so you inspire. You inspire others. You make it look easy for others. You give others the courage to spread their wings. And I had a vision. Eagle came to me in a journey one time, and what he said was, if I can remember exactly, it's like, let others be birds of the field. The sky is your home. And was like, you are carried on the breath of the mother. Eagle doesn't flap much. Eagle gets up there and soars. And the point I'm getting to in that vision, Eagle was like, when you spread your wings, you open your heart. It's like big hug, like open your arms to receive. So it's that action of opening your wings, being vulnerable, surrendering, having that trust in the winds, in Mother Earth, the breath of the earth to carry you. You can't do it if you're all tight. You can't get off the ground. But when you spread your wings and open your heart, the world, the earth carries you. So it's effortless. It might take a little effort to get off the ground or to, but once you're moving, it's like easy breezy. So open your heart. That's the heart of pretty much every message I ever give. But it's only in opening your heart that you will achieve your greatness. You will achieve that majesty. And I'm always telling people that, at some point on your spiritual path, you have to surrender. You have to come to a place where you stop fighting for your way. You stop trying to push and prod and always be protecting yourself from something more powerful. Like I said with Jaguar, there is nothing that is more powerful than you. And it's in opening your heart, surrendering to your destiny, to your purpose, to why you came here. You have to surrender in order to... there are spiritual people that get to a pretty high level, but if they're still seeing the world in terms of duality, of good and bad, dark and light, as in good and evil, then you can only go so high. In order to go that extra distance to get as high as Eagle goes, you have to surrender. And the thing that Eagle brings to you is that perspective. Eagle sees the entire panorama lying beneath him. And so he can see that there are, like the astronaut, I just saw a thing about the astronauts on the moon. and what a spiritual experience that was for them, because they saw the entire globe without boundaries and territories. It was one world, non-duality. And that's the gift that eagle brings. When you open your wings to soar on the winds, you get that panoramic view and you see how everything fits together. There is no duality. If you're still thinking in duality, if you're still thinking that you're in a fight, you know, good against bad, if you're fighting to keep the bad away or be victorious, you know, or that there's bad people, bad feelings, bad entities, whatever, if you're fighting against something, you're not going to get there, because you're constantly focused on that opposition. That is the difference between a rebel and a leader. A rebel is focused on the opposition. The rebel, our whole focus is on changing that opposition. They have there's nothing on the other side of it. They are just about breaking down whatever that system is. And a leader, they might still engage with opposition, with others that are, you know, contradicting them, but their vision is on the future. Their vision is on the oneness, and then doing whatever they need to do to get there. They might, my brain is tired. You know that whole thing, if you're not with us, you're against us? That's the lower vibrational thing, because when you see how everyone is in this together and you see there is no opposition, then you rise above that. And there's nothing wrong with staying down here, right? I mean, you're in the right place at the right time always. You're exactly where you need to be for what you're supposed to learn. And so this isn't to put down anybody that's still in that kind of tug of war and whatever, but at some point, and this is your sign, it becomes time to surrender to your path, to surrender to your greatness, not in opposition of anybody else, but just because your greatness is who you are. It's your birthright. It's not something that someone else gives you. It's not something. It doesn't come from approval from someone else. It doesn't come from the opinion of anyone else. You are great. And this is the realization of that greatness. Not greater than anybody else, but as a being of light, as a being of love, connected to that heart of the universe that is source energy. I just heard a saying recently that I've fallen in love with about you're never going to get where you're going if you stop to throw rocks at all the dogs that are barking at you. If you're constantly trying to prove yourself to others that are saying, you can't do that, oh, you can't do that, oh, you're crazy, whatever it is, all these dogs barking at you, you're never going to get to your destination, because you're focusing on proving yourself to these others, to throwing rocks at the dogs to shut up all those contrary opinions. But you are already that destination. You are already great. You are already divine. You are already whole. It's a matter of remembering it. Okay? I hope that makes sense, because I don't know if my brain can come up with anything else. Not that it's my brain that is coming up with these, it's just my brain and interpreting the stuff coming through. So, all right. So number 3, the third card. If the 3 was your number, you got the Raven. Raven is pure, deep, creative, bibbidi-bobbidi-boo magic. Raven is black, velvety, glisteningly black, like the night sky. It's the darkness, that deep velvety darkness that is the womb of the cosmos. It's the womb of the cosmic mother, where all possible realities exist. We tend to, we get into the dark and we get scared because we don't know what's there. And we've been taught to expect the worst case scenario. So we get in the dark and we're just waiting for something to come eat us, right? But the best case scenario also exists in the dark. The dark contains all realities. It's the womb from which all creation comes. And so when you find yourself in the dark, rather than getting afraid at what might be out there, what may be coming for you, again, remember, you are the authority in your life. You are the center of your reality. You are the creator of your reality. So, there's nothing out there that's going to get you. Everything, like I just said, you're always in the right place at the right time. You're always where you need to be to learn what you need to learn. And if you find yourself in the dark, maybe it's time to face your fears. Maybe it's time to move toward the adventure. The darkness is mystery. We don't know what's on the other side. There could be treasure chests and flying dolphins and castles and unicorns. Why not focus on that? On the adventure. The dark is excitement. It's adventure because we don't know what's going to happen. But when you come from that place of courage, where your heart is your authority, and you know your own divinity, you know that there's nothing that can overpower you. You might, there are cases you might physically die, but that's not who you really are. And so when you keep that in context, you go into the dark, you realize it's an opportunity to create, to birth whatever it is that you want to birth, and with that, Raven, the best known Raven story, Raven is connected to a lot of creation stories. But the main one that people seem to know is the one about how Raven was the one who stole fire from the sun and brought it to the earth so that we could see. It was like the sun was hiding her light, or I don't remember the circumstance. I was just going to go with something, but I'm too tired. The earth was in darkness. No one could see. Everyone was stumbling over each other. It was not a good thing. And so Raven flew to the sun and stole fire from the sun and brought it back to the earth so that we could have fire, so we could have light, so we could see what was going on. The irony in that is that it said before Raven did that, he was pure white. No one could see him because it was all dark. And then flying to the sun, as he flew back, the flames, it charred his feathers on the way back, and so he became black. And where am I going with that? And so he became kind of the Prometheus of North America, of the Native American people, by bringing fire, by bringing light, illuminating. And so when we go into the darkness, we get to decide what fire we're bringing back into the world, what we're bringing back into the light. So this is infinite possibilities. If this is your card, you are at a point right now where anything is possible. And you get to decide through your thoughts, through your actions, through your dreams, through not just night dreams, but daydreams, by visualizing and setting intentions, doing ceremony, whatever you do to manifest. This is the perfect time for that, because you're in. It's like the dark moon phase. It's like that's the point of creation. That's when you decide what you're going to manifest when the moon waxes into fullness. This is the new moon. This is the dark moon, and everything is possible. You get to decide what you are going to bring into manifestation by the light of the full moon. So dream big. There is nothing too big and nothing too small to ask for. Whatever your desires are, whatever you are dreaming of, those things are gifts from Creator to give you a compass to know which direction to go in. So dream your biggest dreams. Pray your biggest prayers. If you're desiring it, that means you're meant to have it. If you're desiring it, it means in the quantum universe that at some point you already have it. You wouldn't be able to distinguish it as a desire if part of you didn't already have it in some time or space. So, yeah. Anything else, Raven? Another thing about Raven, people tend to get ravens and crows mixed up. But I just got a flash of Raven is kind of like the Hermit card in the Tarot. At least that's what they just showed me. Raven holding the light in solitude. Crows are very community oriented. They're family oriented. They move in groups. They interact. Raven tends to be more solitary than that. And they tend to live deeper in the woods alone. That's not to say that you won't see a flock of ravens. In fact, when I was in Sonoma doing my shamanic training with Sandra Ingerman, one of the exercises we did was we merged with a spirit guide, and then we were outside and we looked to see what we could see, and a couple of us ended up in the same place, journeying, merging with our spirits. We looked up and there were like 50 ravens in the sky flying over us. I have never seen that many ravens in one place before. It was amazing. And it was because we were merging with our spirits, and it was like Raven was like, yes, and came out to see us, and in droves. But otherwise, Raven is a very solitary bird. Usually it's just a mated pair that hang out together and keep to themselves. If you think about like Merlin, Wizard, the Hermit, like enjoying their solitude, enjoying the simplicity, kind of counter to Jaguar, what I was talking about Jaguar, enjoying that solitude of the simplicity. There's not a lot of interference. There's not a lot of, like with Crow, where they've got the community and they're squawking and cawing and playing and flying and interacting. That's a lot of, there's a lot of energy there, a lot of waves and frequencies. And Raven prefers that solitude, to be in his own energy, in a more natural setting where he's in harmony with the trees and the squirrels and the deer and whatever. So there's not a lot of interaction. So Crow is more about the doing end of things, and Raven is more about the being end of things. Raven doesn't actually need a lot. Just being who he is enough. And in that is his power to manifest whatever he needs, to steal that light, that fire from the sun, and bring it into his life, to light up his own life. So there you go. Oofda. All right. So that is the reading for tonight. Again, if number 1 was your card, we got Jaguar. Number 2 was your card, we got Eagle. Number 3 was your card, you got Raven. So, if you came in late and missed the explanations, I will upload this to my YouTube channel, Perching Wolf Studios YouTube channel. I'll also post it on my Facebook page. So you can watch it again, or you can watch it and repeat. And if you get into the middle of the week someplace and feel you need a little more guidance, feel free to watch this again. Choose a different number and re-listen to what that message is, to what that guidance is. But that will be up on my YouTube channel. And I do this, like I said, I've been doing readings all day today. It is one of my love and joys to do that, to support people, to empower others, to empower you to find your own answers, to find your path. And so if you enjoyed this, if you feel a resonance, if you want to have your own personal reading, feel free to check in with me. You can email me, you can message me on my Facebook page. You can check my website, perchingwolfstudios.net, and you can check out the other shamanic services that I offer. See if there's any kind of healings or anything, readings, whatever it is that might call to you, some way that I can help support you in your path. So, I'm sure I'm forgetting to say some things that I normally say, but I think I am going to call it a night. I am going to eat the rest of my cereal and maybe go veg out a little bit and kind of recuperate. So I hope to see you next week. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this. And thank you for your patience with me as I kind of sort through my addled brain. And I will see you next week. If you don't know, I do another live video Wednesday evenings at 7. And that one is a sacred pipe ceremony. So my intention there is to create a sacred space for people to come together, to connect with spirit, and offer their prayers and their intentions in this safe and sacred space, to kind of join our energies together for the betterment of the world. So feel free to join me with that, same place. And otherwise, I will see you again. I hope to see you next week. And I hope this was helpful. Until I see you again, know that I love you, that I see you, that I honor you. So have a wonderful, wonderful week. I'm here to support you. Reach out if there's anything I can do. Until I see you again, go shining. All right? Bye.